What is up? Welcome to my first live on this channel. My name is Mischa. I was born and raised in Germany. I lived in a small town named Weilerbach near Ramstein Air Force Base. And I lived there for 28 years till I moved to the USA in 2015 because I married an American, my wife, and she imported me. So on this channel, it's all about German and American cultural differences and all that stuff that is super interesting about Germany as well as the US and how life is here. And today I have my friend Luis Sanchez on, who is also my videographer and does my videos work. And he moved from Orlando to Georgia, and he's been an immense friend and asset to me. And today, you know, we're gonna do a little bit something different. So, if you ever wondered why Germans are so obsessed with recycling or what we really think about Americans, well, today is the day to join in to this video, my friends, because we're going to dive into that. Lewis has some questions for me. Ask a German, and I would like you to join in when you're live and watching this and ask me some questions as well. So let's bring on Lewis and get this party started.
What's going on, everyone? How's everyone doing today? How's it going,
Oh,
Misha?
what is up, my friend? How are
We're,
you doing?
we're gonna get this party started, man. I'm super excited about being here and this new ventures that we're kind of taking on. I know that this is something that is dear to your heart, but also we both have been building the aspect of YouTube, but now we get to find out what it's like through the eyes of a German in America. So
Exactly. I'm very stoked about the questions because I actually have no
you
clue what those
you have no
questions were.
idea.
Yeah, I have no idea. So maybe I can bring in some funny insights here. So
Well,
I'll
I
leave
can.
the chat here on the right. So if anyone joins in, they can hopefully someone is joining in. Otherwise, it's gonna look a little weird if there is no chat activity on the right hand side.
I want to kind of brief you in on just the concept of what the questions are going to be like, so you're a little bit more briefed, but I won't tell you exactly what they are. We have personal questions, we have cultural comparisons, we have general curiosities, we have perspective questions. So that's
I actually have something for you at the end of this video as well.
okay.
Um, for your questions, I actually want you to pronounce some German words.
Oh,
And
yeesh.
and quiz you a little bit about if you know anything about German. Nee.
I have
So,
a feeling I'm going to flunk that test.
well, we'll see. We'll see. All right, let's get it going, my friend. Let's get it
All right.
going.
Do you want to start with questions, or how do you want to go
Oh yeah,
about it?
you start. You questioning me. What's going on? What do I need to know?
All
Or
right,
what do you
so
have?
a couple of personal questions that I have for you is, I mean, you kind of already answered it on the introduction, but what brought you to America? And then what was your first impression when you got here? Like, I know it had, I mean, I'm not gonna persuade you, but I know it must have been a culture shock. But what was your first impression coming to America? And I know that you've already spoken about it, but what brought you here?
So I was imported. I married an American airman who was stationed at Ramstein Air Force Base because we want to put that German dialect in there. Ramstein Air Force Base. And I grew up with a lot of Americans. And I'm going to release, or we're going to release soon, a video about exactly American bases in Germany. So stay tuned, follow the channel if you're interested in it. But I grew up with a lot of Americans, friends, and all that stuff. So I literally had little America next to my house.
So it was something you
Um,
were already accustomed to.
yeah, I was kind of accustomed to it. I traveled. The first time I traveled to the United States was actually in 2006. Me and a couple of friends went to Disney World in Orlando. That was the first time I've been to the U.S. But my sister married an American. Both of my sisters married an American, so she moved to the U.S. and I visited her a couple of times before I actually personally moved there. The first time, so I knew a little bit what was going on. I was a little bit shocked seeing infrastructure being so different because you guys have everything in blocks, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And Florida and even Georgia here, a lot of overhead power lines, which we don't have in Germany. Everything is underground. We don't have blocks. Everything is walkable. And here in the US, it seemed like a little bit not as walkable. So that was a little bit of my culture shock, but I was a little bit accustomed to it with Ramstein Air Force Base next to me, which is Little America.
So it wasn't too much of an adjustment that you had to do. And then you said you also had family here, right?
Yeah, I didn't have to adjust too much. I mean, of course, you always have to adjust if you migrate to another country. There's always that adjustment. You got to adapt, but it wasn't too big because I grew up with Americans. I mean, since kindergarten, pretty much. So I hung out with their families, knew kind of their customs a little bit, got to know their traditions and culture. So it was not too much of a shock and adjustment.
Okay, so it was almost like a second nature to you. You kind of were brought up from a very young age. So I mean, I guess it wasn't too hard, but I'm still sure that, there was still some kind of adjustments like you were saying. What once living here, what was something that you missed about living in Germany? Like, what did you say that you would be like, Man, I wish I could have brought that here to America."
It's definitely, I think a lot of people could guess that. By the way, I see we have two viewers. If you have some questions, put that in the comments. More than happy to get into your questions later. So if you have questions for me as a German living in America, put them in there. But yes, of course, there are things. I wish I could put the food. I wish I could bring some of the food here, but I cook German at home because the wife wants schnitzel now and then. So I do some German stuff. But food, for example, beer, because sorry but not sorry, American beer is just absolutely horrible. Um, and the variety is not great. So that's one thing, two things, and then I would say festivals. I think the festivals in Germany are way different
Mhm.
than here, and I miss like the Christmas markets, Weihnachtsmärkte, and that kind of thing because it's a little bit different.
Agreed, agreed. I think that just coming from any background, honestly, because me coming from a Puerto Rican background, where uh, Christmas is actually celebrated on the 24th. It's not on the 25th.
Like in
Um,
Germany.
yeah, so there was a lot of, just different things. And I was born here in the United States. I wasn't born in Puerto Rico, but you were raised around all that culture. So it's something that you already are brought up, and then as you grow up, you kind of build your own traditions. So I agree that with that, and I'm sure that the festivals over there are freaking amazing, as I've seen on pictures um, and just the different videos, and even here in the historical international festival, where they do have a bits and pieces of different cultures and heritage, and I've seen Germany, just how awesome they bring the party. So that's awesome. Question number 3 for you: Are there any American traditions you've embraced or found surprising?
Surprising, not really. Embraced, yes. I already embraced Thanksgiving in Germany. I mean, that was just a tradition. I brought all my German friends to my house, my family, and we had Thanksgiving dinner. I just thought that was the coolest freaking tradition. And we have something similar. It's called Erntedankfest. Um, but it is not really celebrated the way Thanksgiving is. And so that is something that I embrace because I love being around people. I love the food. So that made a huge difference. Uh,
Yeah.
and then growing up, all the Americans living at Ramstein Air Force Base in that area, they kind of brought Halloween to us, right?
Mm,
When I grew up in the early '90s, there was no Halloween in Germany. That we had
really?
no, we had something different on the first of I don't even know, is it the first of I don't know if it's on the 1st of November. I have to. eh, I've been out of Germany for so long. I don't know.
It's
But we got something similar, Hexennacht, which is pretty much where kids go out and they play pranks on people.
wow.
Um, but they didn't do pranks for candy. So that's a little bit different. They didn't dress up. They just that brings like rolling cars and toilet paper and stuff. So but Halloween was something that was brought up. And then what I was what I learned and what's really surprising and what I love is 4th of July, how Americans embrace their nationality,
Mhm.
how they embrace their country, and how proud they are, and how they celebrate the independence of the country. That's something that you could never think of in Germany. We have a Unity Day, Tag der Deutschen Einheit, where the two Eastern Germany and Western Germany came together after the
Okay.
war. The wall broke down, but you would never see Germans celebrate it like that because
Wow.
we're still kind of scorched from the past.
Yeah.
So you only see Germans show national pride pretty much at soccer games or the Olympics. If someone would hang up a German flag on their house, it's frowned upon. I mean,
Wow.
people would go haywire.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, that's it's all of that is super surprising and just mind-boggling to me because, for being raised and just born here and raised here, in my mind, I see it. I've always seen, Halloween and all of these, holidays as something worldwide. For you to tell me that it didn't exist prior in Germany, it's mind-boggling to me. So, these are super freaking interesting. Uh, just new subjects that I'm getting to learn and really just intake. So I appreciate you sharing all of that, man. Um, so question number 4 would be, what was the most challenging part of adjusting to life in America?
The most challenging part was, and this might sound weird, the most challenging part for me was bringing my punctuality to the US, especially to Georgia, because there is no punctuality.
Yeah,
And we Germans kind of get raised by being punctual or,
yeah.
embracing the punctuality. So that is kind of thing that I had to adjust to people not responding and the punctuality. That was the biggest adjustment for me.
That's so, Puerto Ricans are the complete opposite, right? Puerto Ricans are like, if they tell you at 7, wait for like 8 or 9. It's so just to see the differences in different, cultures and backgrounds, it's really interesting. And I have noticed that Misha is super punctual, and what I mean by punctual is he's there early. Like, it's not if you say 4, if he tells you 4:30, he's not there at 4:30. He's there at like 4:20, 4:15. Uh, and me coming from a Puerto Rican standpoint, a Latino standpoint, I'm like, if I get there at 4:30 on one time, and, yeah, we never kind of get there exactly on time, which is something that I'm working on. This 2025, we're gonna be on time, and that means early. So Misha's definitely our teacher with that. Um,
The
do
thing
you?
is the thing is we see it that way. If you would ask a German, you see it that way. If a German is on time, what
Uh-huh.
you would say on time by if it's 3, you get there at 3. If that is happening with a German, then a German is late.
Mhm.
A German is not on time when they are, uh when
They're
they're on
not on
time.
time when they're on time.
Yeah.
I understand that, and I think that's something in business and just in as an overall how you carry yourself. I think that's something that's beneficial in a lot of different aspects, whether it's through business or building relationships. So it's something that I'm definitely trying to take from you and in invest it into myself as well. So, um, do you ever feel like you have to translate your German mindset to fit into American culture?
Do I ever feel like it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Sometimes I feel like I try to over adjust, if that makes sense.
Over
Um,
adjust or over explain.
yeah, but sometimes I have to get rid of the German mindset. But on the other hand, it's very beneficial, that German mindset, because I'm just always on point. Always on time. That's
Mhm.
one thing. Germans are very punctual, and yes, we are late sometimes too. So don't get it twisted at all. Don't get it like, oh, Germans are always on time. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
it's not always that way. Of course, that's one thing. But also Germans following rules. It's I think it's actually one of the stereotypes that Germans are always following the rules and stuff. Yeah, we love that's the thing that I have to adjust to here in the US too. Yes, there are rules. In the Germans though, if we have rules and laws, I mean, it's for us, it's to kind of um to live by them, but not overly living by them. I mean, jaywalking is still a thing in Germany. I jaywalked, so there's a rule that you shouldn't jaywalk, but I still jaywalk because I want to get to the appointment on time. So I bend the rule. I bend the rules too, but we just like that structures day to day. Is one
So
thing.
it's yeah, it's something that,
And here it's
maybe
not structured. There's
it's
no structure.
I think I mean, if in certain, situations, in certain aspects, I think there's a little bit, but I completely agree with that. I think that's something that, we could all work on. Just being a little bit more structured and punctual is something that, a lot of us, have as a flaw. So, I commend you for that, honestly, because I think that in the, and again, we're going back to what you were saying, that it's not like an all the time thing, because there are certain times, but in the time that we've been working together, I think you've probably been late one time, and it was like a minute or two. So, yeah,
That's
it's
super late for me.
yeah. So, I mean, I think, as far as what looking at a German and what their beliefs and what what they stand for, I think it's great. It's something that we could all learn from. So, question number 6 in personal questions: how has living in the US changed your perspective on Germany? Do you think of Germany any different because of living here? Are there anything that
Absolutely.
go ahead.
Absolutely. I just cut you off because I
You're like, "Wait, I
absolutely
got
wait,
so much to talk about."
so it's not much. I don't want to prolong every question or answer here. I just wanted to, get as many as possible in there. Because I don't want to make that live stream super long. But yes, there are perspectives that have changed significantly living here. Um, every time I try to visit Germany, like every other year,
Mhm.
it sometimes doesn't work with kids and jobs and all that stuff. It's pretty hard to do, and it's not cheap flying over there. But the I love the country. I love the homeland, how some Americans call it, the Vaterland, whatever you guys call it. But it's always funny, the Sauerkrautland. But the thing is, when I go back, and I don't try to mean that in a or depict that in a mean way, I could never live in Germany again.
Hmm.
It's so different from me, and the reason for that is not that the country's crap or what's going on there and this and that. Every country has its flaws. We all know that. Um, but it's just from a perspective of a life work and how it's done. Um, for example, if I think about, I got 2 degrees in Germany, and the way I would actually, how much I actually would, earn in Germany, and how hard I would have to work to make a living, um, it's crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy. Because I still probably from my car mechanic, let's say from my car mechanic years or stuff, think about it. I work 40 hours a week. Yes, we only work from Monday to Friday, maybe Saturday sometimes. But if you think about the overall money that I would make, I would end up after tax with $1,600. Now tell me, how in the world could you make a living with $1,600?
Hmm.
I mean, buying gas, uh, buying gas, um, buying groceries, and pay rent, especially since gas is so much more expensive in Germany than it is here. So it is quite a bit of it's quite of a bit a challenge to think about living in Germany. I love the culture, I love the festivals, I love the food, I love my people, uh, but there's a lot that changed on how Germans. I personally now when I go back, I think sometimes, dang, the Americans are right. Germans are rude. You know,
You've gotten accustomed to the American culture.
I got accustomed to the culture of being friendly. What Germans probably would say as a stereotype, and did a video about that too that's coming soon. But what Germans probably would say, Americans are fake friendly and overly friendly, while the
Mhm.
Americans would say Germans are super unfriendly and cold, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I got accustomed to the friendliness of the Americans, and when I go in a shop in a store in Germany, no one is gonna say, "Hey, how you doing?" You know, they don't even look at you. They look on the floor when you pass by, unless you meet someone that you actually know in the store. Then they stop and you have a conversation. But if you don't know the people, they look at you like you're from a freaking other planet.
Have you gone back and done that where you're in a store and you're saying hello and you're like, wait,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not.
absolutely. Absolutely, I did. I went into a grocery store talking to people, just say, "Hey, wie geht's?" Uh, just like you would say in America, "How you doing?" I would do exactly the same, and people like, "What the heck is going on here?" You know. Some of them probably think that I'm American stationed there and learn German, and
Yeah.
then now I'm doing that, right? In our area, to be honest, I think a lot of a lot of Germans are accustomed to the Americans because we have so many Americans living there, that you run into that all the time.
Yeah.
But it's just a different thing. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy to think about it. I would never thought when I moved here 10 years ago that that would be my perspective change of my own country.
Now, going back to something you kind of touched on, as far as like the work uh, in Germany compared to the work in America, um, do you what do Germans think about the American work culture and the concept of hustling?
Hustling is a weird word. I hate that word. I don't know why. I hate that word. It always seems like it has something to do with a pimp. Um, so to me, but to be honest, um, I think I think you can say it the way in both ways because
Okay.
I think Americans think the same of Germans, and I'm not sure if that's the case, but I think as a German or Germans always think that Americans do not have any work life balance. There's only work, 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 work. There's no life, right? While
Mm,
living here, you realize, yes, Americans work a lot. They're workaholics, and it is different in Germany. You work from 8 till 5, right?
yeah.
And your email inbox is sacred after 5 o'clock. You know,
There's nothing
there's
going in and out.
if you send your boss an email after 5 o'clock, hey, your boss is not answering until the next day at 8 o'clock. That's kind of what it works.
Yeah.
That's kind of it is. If work is over, work is over. While
Mm,
here, and especially in my business, in your business, if I get a call at 9 o'clock or a text message at 9 o'clock, I mean, I cut it off at one point because I
yeah.
need to set boundaries. But if I gonna get a call or a message, I gotta answer it because it's business. It brings you in money, and that's what you live on, right? In
Hmm.
German, and especially in self-employment jobs like real estate, or you as a filmmaker or a videographer and editor. And in Germany, you have your income, right? You negotiate. Let's say I negotiate $3,500 a month. I know I'm getting $3,500 every month. It doesn't matter how much I work or I get overtime, maybe paid a little bit, but it doesn't matter. I always have the same. In real estate or in your business, we don't know what we earn next week. And a lot of
No.
people in the restaurant industry, because they relying here, this is also a difference. They relying here of tips. That is their salary. They don't know how much they make this month. They don't know how much they make a month from now. In Germany, if you are a waiter or you work at a restaurant, you have a set salary. You have an hourly wage You work 40 hours a week. Let's say you make $2,000. That's what you make. And the tips you get at a restaurant, that's just money on top.
How did you feel about that when you came here and you were like, wait, these people are actually waiting for me to pay for their,
Tipping
for their,
culture.
yeah, yeah.
Tipping culture is a weird one because tipping culture in Germany, like if you get your bill, you round up €1 or €2, and that's it, right? That's
Hmm.
it. Gratuity here, sometimes it's already included, right? I was like, dude, I didn't eat that much. Why is there like 10, 15% extra on top of my bill?
Yeah.
Till I realized it's included. And there are certain Germans that probably went to the US, went to the restaurant, and it's like, hey, they talk to the waiter and like, "Hey, I thought the service charge is already included in the bill." And then the waiter probably looks at them like, "You're in the wrong film, dude. I mean, don't offend me. That's my livelihood because that's how they make money. It's just the way it is."
I think honestly, it's. I mean, I understand, right? Like, and I'm the type of person that I'm like, I love to tip. Like, if you're giving me
Oh,
like an amazing service, I love to tip. But I
absolutely.
feel, right? I feel like it has gone like overboard in so many aspects. Like, if you're going through a drive-through and you're ordering, I don't know, a coffee, like there's actually a question for a tip.
Yeah, that
And
shouldn't be. So
I mean
you didn't receive any
there was
service.
no service. You just
No.
I ordered, you gave me the coffee, and that was it. Like,
They put it on a machine, put it out of the window. That's it.
and they
I
put it
mean,
on.
come
Yeah,
on,
I'm like, what's going on? So I personally think the tipping culture has definitely gotten out of hand here.
overboard. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these restaurants should not be allowed to, make the people that are buying the product or that are requesting the service to have to pay for their employees to the extent that they have, but it's just gotten out of hand. So I'm
I love tipping too, and I'm saying that here. Uh, I think the disparity, wealth disparity in the U.S. is way higher than in Germany, to be honest. And sometimes, I mean, those waiters, they are just living day by day or
Mhm.
paycheck to paycheck, and they don't make much money. And sometimes, you have a good conversation, which also you would not have in Germany at a restaurant. You would not talk stories like that at a German restaurant like you would here.
Uh,
But sometimes, they literally let loose, and they spill all the tea over their of their life and tell you some stories. And when then I hear like a single mom not making much money and working 3, 4 jobs, dude, I'm more than happy to tip
I
because
that's me.
it's of course it's gonna affect me because it's money out of my pocket. But if I can help someone that way and make their day, then that is way worth it.
100%. I agree 100%. I just feel like there's a time and a place for it all, you know?
Yeah. We
Um,
can be like Post Malone, who at Christmas Day was out with friends, and apparently he didn't even have a bill because heard that in the radio this morning. He didn't even have a bill, and the friends paid for all the stuff. And he told the waitress, he's like, "Hey, go and at least write me a bill for something. Write me." So the waitress went in and wrote him or printed out a bill for $1, and he tipped her $20,000.
sheesh.
And that
I think you know what? I think we should start doing that. I think
twenty.
I
No,
mean,
no, I'm
not,
not tipping $20,000, dude. Who do you think I am?
not to the extent, not to the extent of Post Malone, and maybe, sometime down the road we'll definitely be able to do that. But to the extent where, where we are going to these different places and we are giving
Yeah,
them a tip where I always like to see that. A lot of people like shine down on that. Like they're like, oh, you shouldn't record these things and
yeah.
record the great things that you do to for other people. But I think honestly, I think that brings humanity back. Um,
I
every
like.
time I see one of these
I
videos.
love seeing the reactions. To be honest,
Yeah,
and I
just
and to round that question up, to be honest, I do love paying it forward. If I ever go to a drive-through and I see someone behind me, I'll just like, "Hey,
pay for the person.
I pay their bill," and you make their day. I
You
mean,
do.
they drive by you, they honk their horns, wave, thank you,
Thank
this and that.
you.
It makes my day too.
It
So,
does.
like I said, but um, you know, for all the viewers out there, because I know we do have you know, put your questions in there. I would, if you have a questions, want to know anything about German or Germany, I'm more than happy. That's what this life is for. Uh, try to get as many questions out there, and spill a little bit of the tea.
So, I know we spoke about that. We spoke about the German beer. Do you want to, I guess, dive into that and further discuss what are the differences that you see between German beer and American beer? Because I mean, my personal perspective,
You can't even compare it.
I
There's
I
the
don't drink, so
You can't even compare it because US beer is brewed differently.
okay.
I've seen in some ingredients that they use rice instead of hops or malt. And in German, we have something it's called the Reinheitsgebot. Every beer needs to be brewed by law after that Reinheitsgebot, which
Hmm.
includes that the key ingredients pretty much have to be hops and malts. Um, so that is a thing. So there is no company who can just go, oh, hey, my name is whatever Budweiser, and I'm not putting instead of this ingredients, I put in this. I mean, there are probably beers out there, but they're not able and not allowed to put the Reinheitsgebot stamp on their beer. So
Mm.
it's a purity of brewing. That's pretty much what it is. It's the
Okay.
purity law of brewing, and the U.S. doesn't have that. And the thing is, I can tell you, it sounds weird, but beer always makes someone pee way more than anything else. But U.S. beer does triple that amount of how many times you have to go to the toilet because you're literally drinking water. I mean,
Yeah.
there's more water content in it than anything else. It's the taste, though. I mean, I do like Yingling, and the funny thing is, I just posted. I had a video on the TikTok account and the Instagram account, and there was that guy, that that American guy, who's like, funny how he acts like he's German and he doesn't pronounce the beer like the Germans would pronounce it. I was like, what does this mean? It's completely different. It's a completely different word. Yingling is spelled with a Y, and then he's like, oh, for young people we call it Jüngling in Germany,
Hmm.
which sounds similar, right? Jüngling, Yingling, but it's pronounced a little bit different, and it's spelled different. So why would I pronounce the American beer Yingling with the German word? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on. The beer is I'll drink it. I drink Yingling. I drink that. I like some Mexican beers. Modelo is not bad, but it is still not there. And the beer culture is huge. I told you a couple of times. I mean, if you want to go and try every day a different beer, it takes you thousands of days to
Hmm.
test every German beer uh, that is out there.
You won't get to it in a year.
You won't. No, you won't get to it. I think 10
So,
years you might get it.
so what about like how do Germans view American food culture? Like as far as like fast food and the portion sizes. How do they compare to Germany? And, are the portion sizes bigger here? Are they bigger over there?
Yeah, it's supersize me. Um, it's literally. I don't think that Germans can grasp portion sizes, or at least they didn't grasp it over time. They got used to it and accustomed because we got McDonald's, Burger King, Kentucky Fried Chicken. I don't know what else fast food chain made it over there, but the Germans always see the American. I think like majority of Germans, not all of them, because a lot of them have American friends and they've been to America. I think a lot of Germans see the food culture as just fast food, which is just not true. There are a lot of Americans that look into the healthier options, healthier food, and all that stuff. And then food diversity. It's not all fast food, right? You got barbecue. You got your huge diversity because that it's a country of immigration. I mean, you got Korean joints, you got Japanese, you got Chinese, like in every other country as well.
Yeah.
I don't know why people always think it's just fast food. It's not. I mean, America has better burgers than we do in Germany. I'm not a burger person. I cannot eat burgers. I don't know why. It's just not my thing. But therefore, if someone gets really into the barbecue and smoking culture of meats, there that is where Germans probably miss out with their thinking of American food culture.
Okay. And what about healthcare? How does that differ between the two countries? Uh, and what was it like adapting to the American system?
So it wasn't really for me. It wasn't really, and for many Germans that moved to the U.S., it wasn't really much adapting because with the military, they have health insurance,
Okay.
so it's not really like like the people who were in the military. There's a different premium, of course, after you retired in the military, like my wife and stuff. The premiums are different. Overall, it's more expensive. It is just more expensive. In Germany, healthcare, you have to be insured. That's just the thing. In Germany, also, of your paycheck, your employer pays a little bit into your health insurance. I don't know the percentage now. Maybe I should do a video about it. But your employer pays a little bit into your health insurance. The thing is, also, you get charged health insurance fees out of your paycheck. So every time you hear someone who says health insurance in Germany is free, we should get health insurance like the Germans. That's not true. Health insurance is not free. It is not free. You still get paid. You get charged out of your paycheck. But
Hmm.
people just get their paycheck. They just get it transferred into their bank account, and most people don't look at their overall chart. What is deducted, like tax, social security check, and stuff. But if you would look at your payment, at your pay stubs, there, you would see that health insurance is one thing, right? Um,
Hmm.
and so
So,
health insurance is not free. And over the years, even when I lived there, even if you had health insurance, and they're kind of, I think they're actually how do you call it? They're subsidized by the government, by the country.
okay.
I think some health insurance is actually owned by the country, by Germany. Um,
Hmm.
but there are private insurances too. Some people have private insurance. They just pay out of pocket a bigger premium. But over the years, the insurance thing has changed quite a bit, where all of a sudden insurances didn't pay that much. You needed extra insurance for vision. You needed an extra insurance for your dental, like you do here now, right? You
Hmm.
have you do have multiple insurances for that, but health insurance is more affordable in Germany. That is a fact. It is way more affordable to get quality healthcare.
So there's not a lot of a difference, but it is more affordable.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. So let's talk about general curiosities, right? How, and this is something that I know you have a video on, but this is something that really kind of caught me by surprise because I didn't know that I was saying things wrong, right? So I want you to pronounce a couple of iconic brands. Like for instance, Porsche. We say Porsche.
yeah,
I mean, that's how I grew up saying it, Porsche. Adidas, that's how we call it, Adidas.
yeah,
BMW. I
yeah.
know that there was another one like Nutella. So how would you pronounce these as a German, being German brands?
So the fun thing is that every time I try to do that, people get so offended about it. Because I just think it's fine. Everyone should pronounce it the way they should pronounce it. That's perfectly fine, right?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But I did shorts about it and people got offended. It's like, let me pronounce the word the way I want to pronounce it because that's how it's pronounced. Go. Good for you. Pronounce it the way you want it. I don't have any problem. I just wanted to share because I think sometimes it's funny.
I think
It's the
okay.
same way the other way around. I'm 100% sure Americans out there, if Germans pronounce American words, um, or try to give a German the word fiduciary duties and see how a German pronounces that, and then you're gonna make fun about it too.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. But we all can make fun about it. So to your question, Porsche, you cut off the e. You don't
Okay.
pronounce the e. It's Porsche.
Okay. Porsche.
Yeah, Porsche. Ferdinand Porsche. It's named after the founder, which is Ferdinand Porsche. It's his last name, and it's Porsche. It's Americans just Ferdinand.
Ferdinand
It's like
Porsche.
It's like, yeah, it's like the same as Ferdinand.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's Ferdinand Porsche, and it's Porsche. Americans just cut, or British speaking people, or English speaking people, they just cut the E off.
Okay.
They don't pronounce the E at the end, but it's
Well,
Porsche.
well, the American culture has definitely won the title when it comes to having letters that are not
Not
pronounced.
pronounced.
Those silent things. Like if it's silent, why would you put it in there? Like what's the point of it
Why
being
don't
in
you
there?
exactly.
Just take it out, you know?
So the next one you mentioned was Adidas.
Yes.
So like I said it Adidas.
Adidas.
Americans say
Adidas.
American make it extremely long. They say Adidas, right?
Adidas. Yeah.
So Adidas is actually it comes from Adolf Dassler, which is the guy who founded it. Adolf Dassler, but his nickname was Adi.
Hmm.
So and his
Okay.
last name was Dassler, so he
He
just
just
said Adi and Das, Adidas. That's
Adidas
how it came apart. And a lot of people don't know, Adi Dassler is actually the brother
of
of the
Mr. Puma.
founder of Puma.
Yep.
Yeah, they got into a beef. They didn't want to work together anymore, so his brother founded Puma. But that's how
Build
you
Puma.
pronounce it. Yeah, that's how you pronounce it. And now both of them are two of the biggest sports brand out there. But and you worked for Puma.
I did work for Puma for
You
many
worked for
years.
Puma. Yeah. So uh Adidas, Nutella, I don't want to go into that too much. It's Nutella.
Nutella.
Nutella, but
Nutella.
it's actually not. It was introduced into Germany the first in 19. What did I send? What did I say? 1956 or something like that. And it was founded in Italy, so
Okay.
it's not German, but it was introduced into the German market first instead of every other one. So we call it always a German brand. But
BMW.
when it comes to BMW, damn, baby. It is the shortcut for Bayerische Motorenwerke, which means a Bavarian motor factory, pretty much.
Okay.
And it's BMW.
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 No,
B.
BMW.
BMW.
Yeah. There
Okay.
you go. Yeah. So that's one. Like I said, it's a shortcut. It's Bayerische Motorenwerke. That's where it comes from. It's BMW, not BMW. The same is the same is with Volkswagen. Volkswagen, right?
Volkswagen.
Volkswagen.
I can't.
VW.
I don't even think
VW.
I would be able to pronounce those
But
words accordingly.
it's Volkswagen oder VW. Volkswagen is pretty much Volk is the people,
Volk.
and Wagen is the wagon, so it's the people's wagon.
So folks, like folks.
Yeah, like folks. But it's Volkswagen.
Volkswagen.
It's a little harsher.
Volkswagen.
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 Yeah, and I got one more
Volks.
while we are at
The pronunciations.
while we are at the pronunciation, I got two more. There's a beer brand called Warsteiner, and Americans pronounce it Warsteiner, like
Warsteiner.
War and Steiner, but it's Warsteiner.
So,
Warsteiner. It's longer.
so in Germany, the W has a V sound.
The W is the. It's the
V.
yeah
V.
the yeah
And what about V? How is V?
foul
Foul is
yeah
V.
yeah. So foul, but you say the.
Okay.
V.
Okay. So that's why
It's
I would
almost
never be able to.
the V almost sounds like the F in Germany.
Okay.
V and
All
F
right.
sound some familiar, but yeah, that's it. And then Mercedes Benz. It's Mercedes Benz. Mercedes Benz.
Mercedes-Benz.
Mercedes Benz. And the reason for that is Daimler and Benz were the two people who merged together the company.
Okay.
And Mercedes was the name of one of their daughters.
Huh.
That's why.
So that's why a lot of young girls are named Mercedes.
Yeah, Mercedes.
Okay.
Or in Spanish, I think in Spanish it's Mercedes.
Mercedes.
Yeah.
So what is a German stereotype about Americans that you think is true?
Oh. It's really because I try to debunk them all the time in videos. It's really I don't think there's a stereotype that is loud, maybe.
Okay.
I think that is true. There were I had always had the stereotype as kid growing up, all Americans chewing gum all the time. That was my stereotype. That was but
Yeah.
there are stereotypes like every American owns a gun, which I know now it's not true. But I think yeah, I think the loudness and if you listen to me, you know I have a loud voice, so I have no room to talk, people. I have no room to talk. But I think the loudness, and not necessarily voice wise, but I think if you can if you can say someone is loud because of the way they move forward and they interact with people, gestures were loud and loud and proud kind of their country because if you think about Americans are very loud when it comes to being proud of their country with visuals like showing flags and stuff like that. So that I would say that is a stereotype that is somewhat true.
Okay. And how do Germans feel about American pop cultures? For instance, music, movies, celebrities.
Well, that's a lot. We do have our own pop culture,
Okay.
German music. I mean, but if you think about famous German bands that are they made that who made it in the US,
Uh-huh.
you got Rammstein. That's the only German band that sings in German of the popular ones.
Okay.
Then you got another German band that a lot of people might not know that they're Germans, but the Scorpions, they always sing in English,
Hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
and then there's the famous 99 Air Balloons song or 99 Luftballons. Uh, the actual German singer Nena sang it in German first, and then she made an American version
Hmm.
because it turned into a global hit somehow because it was a song against war. It was a song
Okay.
for peace. Um, but yeah, I mean, we got the same culture as we if I would if I would pull up the German top 100, I would assure you there at least half of it is American pop culture. If it's hip
Hmm.
hop, rock, or even country.
Yeah.
Even though country is not as huge in Germany, I have to take that back. Country I got accustomed to in America and with my American friends. It's not as huge in Germany.
It's funny because I don't know if you've already heard the song that we made, but it's a really big hit in Germany. So I want to know from a perspective of a German, how is this song that has a Latin instrumental, how is it such a hit? I mean, I don't know if you've heard it, but
Germans listen to everything because Germans can party to everything.
yeah.
If you go to a German carnival, and that's the funny thing. I think that's what a lot of Americans adapted to. If you got German friends in Germany and you go to a carnival and they have concerts at the carnival, Germans are I mean, they drink a little bit beer, they get a little tipsy, and they start dancing on the beer benches, and everyone hugging everyone, and they singing. It doesn't matter if they usually would not listen to that stuff
Yeah.
but they sing, and then you see the Americans tipsy next to him, locking arms, and the Americans sing the German songs, and it's hilarious. The Germans, I mean, we can party to everything. So I don't know how that made it, but it's just the diversity of what we listen to.
I think also, it has, the name Lamborghini,
Oh yeah,
which
you think
has
every German buys a Lamborghini
well
just
well,
because
no,
Audi
not
owns it?
necessarily. Well, what I was trying to get to was because of, Audi and Volkswagen. I know that Lamborghini does have a lot of that incorporated into itself. So, I mean, that was my, what I kinda came up with, and
Yeah,
I thought that that's probably why, but I didn't know. So, yeah, I mean, but it's cool to know that, right? Like,
Germans
this
listen to
song.
everything.
So, pretty cool. So what's one thing Americans do that Germans find strange or funny?
What Americans do, what Germans find strange or funny.
And I know that you kind of already touched on the topic where we're like saying hi to everyone. So
Oh,
you guys
absolutely.
find that, right?
I got one. I got one. When you go shopping
Mhm.
and they put first of all, baggers is not a thing in Germany. The cash,
You
the
you
person, no, the person on the cash registers packs your shit, or you, oh, sorry for language, or you pack your own stuff, or you
Yeah.
bring you bring your own bag.
Okay.
What I thought was irritating, and I still think that if you go to Kroger, Publix, Walmart, and they pack one single thing in a plastic bag, even though there would be still more room in another bag, why would you? Why are you putting a bag of cheese in just a single bag of plastic? That makes no sense to me. That
I'm
is the
I'm
most
guilty of that.
that's the most irritating thing.
I'm super guilty of that.
That
So normally Germans they pack the bag with,
yeah, yeah.
or at least fill it to an adequate
The
amount.
the lady or the guy at the cash register just scans it.
Yeah.
Just scans it, and you stand at the end of the scanner. They have, like, this little catch area, but it's bigger
Okay.
than here in the US, and then she scans it, you pack everything in bags that you brought or in the wagon, and then you pay, and then you get out. She or he doesn't help you.
Yeah.
Heck no.
We're already doing everything else. So perspective questions, and these are some of the final questions to ask you, but perspective questions. How do you feel about the American sense of individuality compared to Germany? So like community focused mindset.
Community focus. I always and here's my take on it. Living, with a lot of Americans at Ramstein, I always thought we Germans had a more sense of community
Okay.
living together. Uh, we turn into best friends with our neighbors. We do stuff with our neighbors. Even if it's after work, we just sit in a driveway and having a beer and talk. What I realized here, and it could be that because they were stationed in Germany, but what I realized is that a lot of Americans in Germany, they try to stay by they try to stay either within the American community, or they did live off base in the German community, but did not interact with the Germans.
Hmm.
It felt like some of them just had their freaking blinds down all day. You didn't see
Mm.
them. They went to work, came back, didn't wanna interact. So I think we have, like, when it comes to events and festivals, we go to the beer stand, to the wine stand and stuff because you can drink openly at those events,
Mhm.
and we have conversations with total strangers.
Yeah.
So in a small town where everyone knows everyone, it's a very strong sense of community, which I know that there is community here as well in the US between Americans. Um, but I always felt like community of dude, we had parties at my dad's house all the time with all the friends all the time. Didn't matter. There was always something going on. We're always interacting. So I feel always the community sense is a little bit stronger in Germany than it is here in the US.
I think that the German culture is very similar to the Latin culture. We we're we're super loud, super friendly. We're always like having parties at all the time. We have, festivals and we're like that. Like we could see you and we could become friends, as
Yeah.
neighbors. And so I see the German culture very similar to the Latin culture. What do you think, or what do you wish Germans would adapt or adopt from the American culture?
Uh, what would we adapt? Huh, that's a good question. I think
And also
I
vice
would
versa.
I
What do you
wish I wish the fake friendliness, as some of the Germans call it. I think that would be something. If we could adapt that, we go to the store and people just say, "Hi, how you doing?" And, that would just make it a lot easier and wouldn't make us Germans seem so cold, as people say, right?
Yeah.
Or we don't have humor. Oh, it's another thing. We do have humor. You don't get us wrong. Um, but I think that would be something. I think one thing that I really, really would enjoy, and I don't know if I get backlash for that or not. I might, but I think it's nearly 80 years since the war is over.
Mhm.
None of us people nowadays, there are very little that still live that had experience with the war, with World
Mhm.
War II and what was going on. I think we should we should always keep this horrific event in mind and teach it in history. Should always be, but I should not be reduced to the history that my country had as a
Agreed.
German now, because I did not have anything in particular. I think we Germans should be able to be proud of our country publicly, proud to be born as a German, and proud to proud of what Germany has achieved after the war. Or
Agreed.
even before the war, when there was inventions and all that stuff that we should be proud of. We should be able to show that we are proud of the positives of our country, and we should also always keep in mind the negatives that happened. And I mean, the U.S. has the same thing. There are negative things that happened throughout the evolution of America. But here's the thing: I can tell you that, for example, when we talk about bad things that happened to countries, um, a lot of a lot of people in Europe and stuff think Americans are all war hungry, right? They all want
Mhm.
war because America had so many different wars,
Mhm.
right? And the same thing is with but you don't hear that much talking about outside of the US. The same thing is with the bad part of American history and slavery, right?
Mhm.
It's a dark, dark chapter of the US. It's a dark, dark chapter. Like World War II is a super dark chapter of Germany. But overseas in other countries, no one is reducing Americans to slavery. We
Mhm.
do not talk that. But when I moved, I don't know if I told you that, but when I first moved here, I played on the varsity soccer team of Whiteman Air Force Base. In the first practice, we did like a introduction game. We passed the
Okay.
ball to someone,
Yeah.
and when we passed the ball, we called the name, right? So we were 10 people in a circle. So if I pass it to you and I didn't know you, now I know, oh, Lewis, and then you pass it back, Misha. So you kind of remember the names, right? And the first time someone passed the ball to me, he said Hitler. So, I was like, "Okay, that's the kind of introduction
Wow.
I get to," And I never lived in that period. Uh my dad was a little boy, and my grandparents were not following this Austrian maniac who killed so many people, and,
Mhm.
so I should not have to justify why I'm German and I'm not a Nazi, you know, because I am not. And just because I'm from that country that doesn't mean that I'm ultra right wing, you know? I mean, people learn from their mistakes, they adapt, but we never forget it. But that's one thing. That's really one thing that bugs the shit out of me.
I agree with that 100%. I don't think anyone should ever be, you know, judged by what happened, in their past or their history or their background or anything like that. I think we evolve as human beings and we learn, and if we don't learn, then that's when history repeats itself. But we shouldn't, and I don't think anyone should ever be judged by something that they had no control of. So I personally, I am just super uh, happy that we met, and I didn't even know your history. I think we just met because of social media, but not even basing it off of our backgrounds. We've been able to connect in such a way that I think the relationship that has built it has been so quickly, and I don't do that with a lot of people. So that just goes to show you, never judge a book by its cover. So 100% agree on that, man. Um, Final question. What is your perspective? What is your perspective on the American dream now that you're living here?
Oh, it's real. I can tell you that. I think here's the deal. What I ran into a lot, and I did put that in a video about the differences. It's not published yet, but it will be. Um, what I talk about something is the ability to work yourself up, right? In
Mhm.
Germany, you got your school, you go through. We got Hauptschule. I think they changed it. after I was out. And I mean, I've been out of school for a while, but you got Hauptschule, you got Realschule, you had Realschule in in Gymnasium, which Gymnasium was the ones who really, really were smart. They went to gymnasium. So we were literally after elementary school, we're like sectioned off. Oh, this kid is a little bit too much of a clown. I don't think it's gonna make it in gymnasium. It should go to that. So our teachers really reduced us to that and then recommended where we go. And if you didn't have a recommendation for gymnasium, your parents could still put you there, but the gymnasium didn't have to take you, right? So
Mm,
you could have been a smart kid, but a
yeah.
clown, and then your teacher recommends you for the lowest school possible, which is 9 years,
Oh,
and
wow.
then that's it. And the thing is, you only can go to university if you graduated from the 13th grade at gymnasium, because we had Hauptschule was fifth to ninth, then Realschule was fifth to 10th, and
Mhm.
then gymnasium was fifth to 13th.
Okay.
I mean, even if you finished the ninth grade and you were good, you could still move on to the higher school. But all the kids that were left there, they only had a specific amount of jobs they could do. Like car
Hmm.
mechanic, for example, it started at one point to be a Haupt. You could start it with Hauptschule, but also the people from the Realschule, from the middle highest school or the gymnasium, could be a car mechanic. But a doctor, if you just went to Hauptschule, you could never go to university and study medicine.
Hmm.
So you kind of were all
You
the kids
were
were back in the
reduced
day,
to.
they were just reduced to that, not their real intelligence, right?
Mhm.
Um, because I always got that from my teachers. Misha is super intelligent, but he has ADHD. So he cannot go to higher school because he's a class clown, right? And I might have failed in tests here and there because I was mentally absent a lot of times, but that is a little bit different. And it's harder in Germany to move yourself up. If I finished my traineeship and I'm a certified car mechanic, I could never work myself up to be the uh the shop manager or something like that. Never could do that.
Oh,
Right
wow.
here in the US, it's a little bit different because you get licenses, right? Real estate or other thing, you get licenses, and if you can still go to college. I could still go to college, right? But I
Mhm.
didn't. I sure have to have a certain average of what is it? GDP? No, GDP is the gross democratic. What is it? What do you need?
Um,
The score.
your GP. You got me.
GPA?
GPA, yeah, GPA.
Yeah. So you still have to have your GPA to be going to schools and stuff, universities. But you could even get your high school diploma later, and you can do that in Germany too. But by the time you do that and run through all that, right, you're like 50 years old. What are you gonna do? I mean,
Yeah.
it is. I here is the thing is from the American dream. I can set my mind to something, and I can work myself up. I
Hmm.
can literally start in the kitchen and work myself up to the manager of the restaurant. That is possible. Yes, you got to work, but you are you are literally graded on your work ethics and how hard you work and what you put into the company, and
Correct.
that's how you're not reduced on your school. You're not reduced like we were on how we were in school when we were little, right? Um, so I can work myself up here in the US. I know a lot of people disagree with that. And a lot of people in Germany disagree with you can't really work yourself up. But I lived it. I lived there for 28 years, people. I couldn't work myself up to be the head mechanic of Mercedes. Was never possible.
Yeah.
Um, but here I can earn more money. I can provide for my family if I bust my butt. In Germany, I can bust my butt and still walk out with $1,200 a month.
Hmm. So the American dream, as many people have said that it's not an American dream, it actually is. I personally see
I
that as
think
well.
so.
I think it 100% is. I think personally, I guess this is a personal opinion. I think the people that don't see an American dream here are people that probably don't want to step out of the box to actually do something bigger and actually pursue what they want to pursue. And it's people
I
that,
Yeah, I have to say, people like you said that don't step out of the box, don't think out of the box. Those are most of the time people that don't believe in it or say it.
mhm,
And then I have to say it, and it's on both sides of the aisle. Doesn't matter if German or American. The people who complain the most that it's not working for them is the ones that want everything handed to them. They don't
agreed.
wanna put in the work, but
Hmm.
they wanna they don't wanna put the work, but
They
wanna
want the
earn
benefits,
$100,000 a year.
the benefits without the work, 100%.
Exactly.
And I mean, I'm sure you've had to do plenty of things to get to where you're at. I have been working super into depth with becoming what I wanted to become, which is filmmaking. You're in real estate and you do so much more stuff, but I think these are things that we needed to work towards. You know, we needed to
Yeah,
step out and just like a real estate agent and just like a cinematographer, you don't have that security of a paycheck. You don't you don't think that, oh, I'm gonna go pick up my paycheck from a boss, or I'm gonna go make this amount of money every single month. It doesn't happen that way. So I think.
I hate it being in front of camera. I hated doing this stuff, right?
Mm,
But I knew there's a new way of getting business, getting in front of people, and a new way to inform it. So I put myself in front of a camera, even if I look dorky, if I look horrible, if people make fun about my glasses because they're thick and my eyes are bad. And I tell you one thing, you know why my glasses are so thick? Because in the USA, they are sadly not as advanced when it comes to optics as in Germany, and that's why they're that thick. That's the only reason. So it has nothing. I mean, my eyes are bad. I'm blind as a mole. But you know, don't come in here and freaking make
point
those
that out.
stupid
Like, don't make,
comments. I
yeah,
know that it's been like that for 28 years. People, come
yeah.
on. We don't reduce people on that. That's horrible. But that's the thing. I stepped out of the box. I went in front of the camera 5 years, 6 years ago with real estate because I knew there was a shift coming, and it paid out. It paid off. And now, without with me not being as reserved anymore when it comes to being in front of camera, you realized just in a year of working with me when we filmed listing videos and stuff, um, energy wise and how I've been in front of the camera is night and day from now than it was a year ago, right? Um, I think that it also made me do this channel because I always wanted to do it, but I didn't want to look like a dork or an idiot in front of camera. But I think it's a cool channel, and now this year I finally went and pulled the trigger and said I'm going to do this. It's just the way it is. But yeah, I think to that point.
And one final thing, I know that I said that other question was the final question, but I know we have a video coming out for this channel that is going to talk about the elections.
Yeah.
We won't get too much into detail because I know that you cover all of that and you go into depth with the video. But what is your take? How do you feel about the elections coming up?
So I think it's very interesting, to be honest, and I keep it quick. It's very interesting how it shifted in Germany. I think it's the same way that it might have shifted in the US. And I go into depth with it, but if you think about it, 2021 there was I think a refugee crisis with Syria, right?
Okay.
And then the last that was the last immigration crisis. And last year we literally had 300,000 asylum seekers in Germany. 300,000. That's the highest it's ever been. And with the immigration laws, it might have pissed off a lot of Germans
Hmm.
because of course, it's good for cultural diversity, but I think some things did piss off the Germans as well as things pissed off the Americans over the last 4 years, and there's just going to be a change. Um, there is the possibility, and it's not a great possibility, that the far right AFD gets a chance to be a part of the part of the government in some way or another. And I think there's a fear of that because of them being a little bit far right, or they are far right. um, there's a fear that history is going to repeat itself in Germany, right?
Hmm.
But I also understand that um, politically here's the thing, politically across the world over the last 4 years, let's say since the pandemic, since 2019, over the last 5 6 years now, globally, governments have been absolutely horrendous. I would say 2021. Governments have been absolutely horrendous. In Canada, Canadians are fed up, the French are fed up, the British are fed up, the Germans are fed up, the Spanish are fed up. So there was something from a government perspective, I think, where people just lost their mind. And in Germany now, it resulted in a snap re-election,
Hmm.
which means an election earlier than the actual planned election, and
Now,
by almost 11 months earlier. So
oh
it's not.
wow.
It's pretty much something really significant that is
So
happening in Germany.
it is, because again, I don't know the politics of Germany compared to here, but is that a an impeachment or
No,
what?
it's not. To all the in Germany, a lot of we got multiple parties. It's not like like the U.S. where you have like two big parties and pretty much nothing else. In Germany, there are multiple parties. Like
Okay.
you got the Green Party, which is they are all for economic for nature and stuff, kind of like green energy and all that stuff. Then you got the SPD, the CDU. Those are the two big parties, and then you got the FDP, the AfD,
Hmm.
and the Linke. There are a lot of parties, right?
Okay.
In Germany, the government, most of the time, one party does not get the majority of 52%.
Okay.
So to achieve that to achieve that goal of being the government party, you have to be at 52%, right?
Hmm.
Or
Okay.
51%. You have to have the majority. But a lot of times that is not achieved. So parties have, like the bigger parties, have to build coalitions with smaller parties to get the majority.
Oh wow. Okay.
And if that happens, then they're going to be the governing parties, right? Those two. It's a coalition. In Germany, it happened that the coalition fell apart, and that's why there are snap re-elections.
Got it. Okay. All right. Well, we won't go too much into detail with it because I know you have a lot of great details and information with the new video coming. So, um, what about you? Do you have any questions for me? A German asking an American.
So at the beginning I said I'm gonna ask you a couple of German words to pronounce it. I think we're gonna do a whole nother video about that. I think
Okay.
that would be fun to do. I think that's cool. Um, so I mean, it also cultural quiz. I think I'm gonna ask you at one point a little bit about
Sheesh.
Germany, but I want to one question that I want to ask you though is, what is one thing, especially since you know me now and we've been working together for the last almost year, what is one thing that you realized that is different from a German, or how a German approaches stuff, than American?
What is one? I think it goes back to what we said in the beginning. The attention to punctuality is something that I was very impressed by because I've worked with a lot of people that are punctual and stuff like that, but um I've never seen a flaw, like, and if there was, it was surprising because I remember, and I remember it exactly, the house that we went to. It was a house over in Warner Robins. Um, I was parked in the front and I was setting up the camera to start recording before you got there to record the outside. And by the time I was already done, setting up the camera, you were already there. I was like, What's the point?" Like I wasn't able to do any of the things that I wanted to do. So I think the um just to see that the attention to punctuality and how you guys really manage time, I think it's admirable.
That's a good one. I appreciate it. I take the flowers. I take the flowers. Germans, you should take those flowers. I worked hard for those. But so one more thing that I want to ask you is what is a surprise from our conversation now over the hour? What is one surprising thing that you learned while asking me all those questions during this session?
um I think something that I kind of went over is knowing the holidays. That was one thing that really just stood out to me is understanding that holiday, that Halloween was never a part of Germany, or like that there were these major differences in holidays and how your culture compares to America. Because my whole entire life growing up, like in the American school of the education, like it just you're taught a certain way that doesn't really teach you about other cultures. So to just hear that and understand that there's some things that are similar, but other things that are completely different. I thought that was very interesting to me. To find that out. So yeah. And then that American beer sucks.
Sorry, not sorry. I think every American who sees this replay and has been actually in Germany, they would agree with me. Uh, I'm positive. I'm positive. At least I would get 70% of the vote. So I would have the majority. I'm pretty
Well,
sure.
I say, personally speaking, from someone that doesn't drink beer but has tried so many different beers, I just can't take the taste of it. Like like it. And again, maybe it's that I haven't tried German beer, you know?
It's kind of
So
like I don't. I'm not really a person of. I'm not a wine drinker, but
yeah.
where I came from, wine was very predominant because we have one of the biggest wine region where I'm from
Okay.
in all of Europe, right? And my friend even has his grandma has a winery. We went cutting grapes up and down the hill as
Oh,
kids.
that's gotta be fun.
But I was not a wine drinker. My dad loves wine, but he also loves beer. He also drinks whiskey. So, but I'm not. A lot of people are wine drinkers. I'm more of a beer drinker. I drink whiskey, but I understand that the taste can be taste. You know, you gotta like it. It's like coffee
Yeah.
or sparkling water. The
Yeah.
Germans drink sparkling water.
I
If
can't
I
do sparkling water.
see,
I
there you
cannot
go.
do spark. Like it doesn't like it just. I feel like I'm drinking a soda with no syrup.
Yep,
I don't know.
absolutely.
And
Well,
I think another thing that kind of surprised me after like no like after the hour of our conversation, which is something that you kind of already spoke about prior, but uh knowing you in the time that we've known each other, knowing you, and then when you told me that Germans just aren't friendly, I guess, or that they're not, the culture is not the same as America, where you're saying hi, but knowing you and knowing how friendly you are and how, like, outgoing, but I guess that's the adaptation to the American culture. I think that was another surprise to me. Because again, I growing up in American schools, like, you don't I personally never knew about, German culture or any other culture for that matter. So to hear that from you and then to see completely different from you, I think that was something else that was super interesting to me as well.
sometimes you learn a thing or two. You know, that's the beauty of that. Well, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you
And for
asking.
sure.
Well, see, this is the first live. We had a couple of viewers back and forth here. Did not have any questions, which I hope there are gonna be some questions for the people who watch it afterward,
Afterward.
because I'm still gonna answer those. So I really appreciate everyone that chimed in to the first live, and maybe we can do Ask a German a little bit more often, or Q&A sessions from questions that I collect from subscribers and viewers, and then just make a live out of it, and or a video, whatever, and I go into the questions because I really enjoy that. I really enjoy that cultural exchange, and, talk a little bit about my country. I love talking about my country. Like, Americans love talking about their country. So I think that is very important to the future, keeping those cultural exchanges going, and I really appreciate everyone that chimed in during the time, even though you guys were kinda lame with the comments, I have to say, but maybe in the future. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure leave a like, a comment below, subscribe to the channel for future videos, and make sure you're gonna watch some of the other videos that are on the channel that are already published. We're gonna publish a video every week, from now on, and it just started, so the video library is not as full as it's gonna be in the future. But we're gonna be as consistent as possible and bring some cool content on here.
100% agreed. 2025, Mischa meets America.
Yep.
I feel like that should be like either a movie or a documentary.
Yeah, like
We're
Borat, like
yeah,
Borat.
we're following Mischa around as he sells houses or he interacts
Yeah,
with other people.
a day in a life of Misha.
A day in
Me,
the life of Mischa meets America.
yeah, or me, myself, and Misha. Uh, we can do that. But see, now that I talk with you, I pronounce my own name like Misha. It's
Oh
Misha,
yeah, Mischa,
Misha,
Mischa,
Misha.
Mischa.
The Germans are a little bit more aggressive in their language. But I appreciate y'all. I appreciate you, Lewis. Can't wait to
Anytime,
see where this goes. And it's fun. I mean, to me, it's fun. I hope you enjoy it as much as I
hundred
do.
percent.
And yeah, I'll see y'all in the next video. Make sure to watch one of the videos that comes up here.